My mother turned 103 this summer, and what strikes me about her and her life at 103 is how genuinely happy and content she is at 103 years old. So I asked her, what is your secret to happiness and contentment? And I want to share with you what she said, because she still goes to the grocery store. She cooks for herself. She lives in a 2-bedroom apartment in an assisted living care facility, goes to yoga classes in a chair, takes evening walks with her pals with her stroller, and watches the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Penguins and the Steeler games. And her mind is sharp as a tack. She remembers everything. But one of the characteristics that truly struck me as truly remarkable is her inner sense of happiness. She's delighted. She's content. She's at peace at 103 years old. Now, that's important because, the baby boomers, which is the generation following her, 1946 to 1964 birth years, there are going to be 56 million of them in our country, called the pig in the python. It's like a big python that swallowed a big egg, and that egg started out in the mouth, and then it goes all the way through the body. It went through the kindergartens, the grade schools, the high schools, the colleges, careers, marketplace, home owning, and now it's getting older and older. By 2030, every baby boomer in our country will be 60 years or older. They own 45% of the homes in our country, which, by the way, aren't suited for aging or health care or elder care or long-term support care or memory care or dementia. And that is going to give way to unprecedented strains on our health care and our economy. So what are those people going to be like? Are they going to be happy? Are they going to be contented? What happens to the baby boomers as well? So I asked my mother, what is the secret of your happiness? And it's simple, it's easy, she said. I've tried to do these things. First, I've tried to be accepting of who I am and where I am without complaining or comparing. She said there are two kinds of people in this world. There's the, why is this happening to me kinds of people. I don't deserve this kinds of people. I didn't expect this to happen. This isn't fair. Why is this happening to me? And those kinds of people generally get angry and resentful and upset at life. They get grumpy. But then there are those who know how to let go and release. There are certain acceptances that they have understood. It's okay. It's okay who I am and where I am. It's okay my physical problems. It's okay my financial problems. It's okay. I accept life as it comes to me. I accept the hand that has been dealt to me. And part of this is the avoid complaining mentality about what's happening to me. The loss of my friendships. We lost my sister, her only daughter this year. The constant physical pain and aches. She said, you just have to be thankful and avoid complaining. Rather than getting angry or hurt or complaining, I'm thankful. Avoid complaining. The complaint department is now closed. And she said, avoid comparing. There's always someone who has more than me, who's doing better than me, who feels better than me. But part of my contentment and my happiness and my peace is allowing God to be God. This is His design for my life. I accept it. He cares, and He's in control. That brought to mind, to me, 1 Timothy 6, but godliness without contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we cannot take anything out of this world. But if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content. Be accepting of who you are and where you find yourself without complaining or comparing. And then she said, be thankful about all things. My mother started her journey in 1922, 146 years after our country was founded. She's seen a lot: depression, world wars, the growth of the automobile and the airplane industry, iPads, iMac, digital TV, cell phones, microwaves, great-grandkids. And through all those years, life hasn't been easy for her. We never had much money when I was growing up. My father was a steel worker in Pittsburgh. No one even went to college until me. We had a very modest family. We didn't really go on vacations, couldn't afford that, but we always had food on the table, a pet in the house or in the backyard, woods, streams to clog up with little dams when I was a little kid with twigs, all the kinds of things that you'd like to have when you're growing up that are so simple. And in all of that, our family has been so thankful for all things, about all things that God has given us. 1 Thessalonians 5:16. Rejoice always. Pray without ceasing. Give thanks in all circumstances. For this is the will of God in Christ for you. Be thankful in all things, whatever God gives you. Be thankful. It is a secret to inner peace and contentment. And then she said, now keep moving. Get physical exercise every day. Both of my parents worked way beyond retirement. My mother was a nurse. Our parents, after work, walked every single day in Pittsburgh, up hills, down hills. They had a 3-level house until my father was 93 years old. They walked up and down the stairs every single day. And my father never missed a day of work. He always used to say, a fair day's work for a fair day's wages. When my father died at 99, my mother continued that walking. She organized her own walking group in her apartment building. She said, now ladies, let's gather in the library every evening at 6 o'clock. She recently told me they're still doing that. She's been doing that for 10 years. She said, you know, we have to slow down a little bit for some of the younger ones because they don't quite have the physical stamina that we do. So we take a break in the middle of our walk and we wait for the younger people. You know, physical activity is a really, really great thing at whatever level you find yourselves. I had a person tell me one time, you know, I'm just filled with all this kind of anxiety and stress and fear in my life. I don't know what to do. I can't sleep. I just can't get anything right. And I need some spiritual answers. And I said, okay, well, let me give you a spiritual answer. I want you to eat right, sleep right, and exercise daily. No, you don't understand. I need some emotional and spiritual help here. I said, yeah, here's the deal. If you eat right, at least try to eat right. And I know you're not feeling well. And try to get in bed at the same time every night. And try to get to sleep. And if you work out and exercise every single day, you will be amazed at what that does for your spirit, your soul, your pneuma, your heart, your mind. Paul saw this relationship between the body and the spirit, our emotions. So yeah, physical exercise. It's really kept her going. Hey, keep moving. Hard work feels good. There's a sense of accomplishment about it. Eat right, sleep right, exercise. It's a simple formula. And then she said, don't forget to care for your family and friends. I've always believed that the best people in my life are my family and friends. These are the relationships that matter to me. And I always believe that those relationships, although we've had lots of twists and turns, and you know, some people get angry and they get bent out of shape with each other. I mean, I've seen it all. I've seen it all in these relationships. But they always work out if you give it enough time and grace and care and love. She remembers everything. As I mentioned, at her 103rd birthday party, she got up in the middle of the room with her stroller. The whole room got real quiet. She said something personal about everyone who showed up, showing them that she cared for them, that she loved them, that she remembered them. Every single one of us got something nice said about us. It was a special moment. Care for your family, your children, those around you, your closest friends. Really, make an effort. Don't put those relationships aside. Make an effort, like my mother does as the patriarch, to keep that family together. And here's a good one. Don't expect your kids, or your family members to meet all of your emotional and physical needs. While our kids and our family members can be a source of support in our lives, relying solely on them for companionship or emotional fulfillment can get overwhelming to them. For instance, don't call them daily to vent about your loneliness or your unhappiness. Don't expect them to spend every weekend with you. Don't expect them to be the ones who are going to be responsible for your own personal happiness. My mother doesn't really expect to talk long on the phone with me, even though I know she's home alone. She lets me go. She understands that I have a life of my own, and that freedom to let me go wants me to spend more time with her. She lets me go without guilt or without resentment. She doesn't depend upon me. She has hobbies, she has friends, she's reconnected with old friends that she has in her life. She's maintained a balanced life. Give your kids and your family members plenty of grace to allow them to live out their lives in the way that they feel they need to live that out. Don't become a source of guilt or resentment to them. And finally, and most importantly, and you know this, live in the daily presence of God. I mean, many of our older people are living in homes that are unsuitable for aging. They're facing safety issues and accessibility issues that are beyond their comprehension. The loss of friends, the loss of kids, the loss of freedom, the loss of mobility. It's easy to get angry and resentful. So how does my mother seem so happy and content? Because she has had a lifelong faith in her God, that He cares for her and He's in control. We always went to church in our family. My earliest memories are North Park Lutheran Church, an old German church, white cracker box-sized church that sits on the top of a hill in North Park in Pittsburgh. That faith was so important to my mother and my father. They always told. We grew up in the church. We met Jesus in that church. The men dug the basement of that building out when they decided we needed some classrooms for our little kids. Yeah, they dug it out by hand underneath the infrastructure of that church. It's still there. My mother always believed in God. Now, sometimes she got a little oppressive about that. I remember one time I was out in the backyard playing, and I was spitting in the backyard because I had seen the older boys, the junior high kids, they were spitting. My mother came out of the house and came back into that yard, and she said, "Don't you ever spit. Don't you? God sees you when you spit. It's a sign of disrespect." And I don't think it was a sign of disrespect, but to her it was. Everything, the point is, revolved around her faith and her view that God was watching and God cared and God was in control. And He knew what was going on in our lives. Yeah, her faith in God is what has given her the faith and contentment and peace that she now has. When my twin sister died this year, and it was a really difficult death, my mother was devastated. She was so saddened. My sister was her best friend, but she's accepted that loss. I mean, they used to talk every single day. Every night at 6 o'clock, they talked on the phone. The loss in her life is amazingly deep, painful, but she's accepted it as God's will. She says that over and over and over again to me. This is what God had planned. And when you accept God's will, when you release into God's will, it dulls the edge of the blade. It takes away that sense of bitterness that can get so sharp. I can tell you, she has genuinely, honestly accepted God's will. And this gives her great peace and contentment. I love this passage. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Don't be anxious about anything. I know we get anxious about everything. But here Paul's saying, but just step back, release, let go, have faith in God in prayer and asking Him, speaking to Him. With what? With thanksgiving. Let your requests be made known to God. And then He doesn't say God's going to answer your prayers. I mean, God might say, that's a good idea or a bad idea, or you have to wait, or I have a better idea for you. I don't know if He's going to answer that prayer, our request, our supplication. But He does say this: He will fill you with the peace of God, which will surpass anything that you can imagine or understand. He will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. Yeah, that's what God does. He fills us with peace so that we can go through any storm, any trial, any difficulty that comes our way. and fill us with peace and contentment, that He will actually guard our hearts and our minds. So, my mother explained these things to me as her secret to a content, happy life. Interestingly, all of that is now expressing itself in her life at 103 years old. And that is my prayer for me, my family, and for you as well, that as we age, we can age gracefully in the love and the peace and the contentment of a relationship with God. Build that relationship now.